Welcome. Good morning to you. For me, it is evening here. I'm live here from Waldorf, Germany. My name is Tim Steuer, and I'm happy to spend around about 45 minutes sharing how to implement SAP S4hana and how to get started on your Rise with SAP journey with application lifecycle management from SAP. Okay, so there's three major points that we have on the agenda. I will just do a quick recap on Rise with SAP. I'm pretty sure you have heard about this before, either after the announcement in January or potentially also during this event. I'll then touch on application lifecycle management, and I will then explain how to implement and operate the different, let's call them flavors of SAP S4hana. So let's get started with Rise with SAP, Business Transformation as a Service. It's a brand new offering from SAP that helps our customers to do the transformation to the intelligent enterprise on customer terms and on customer timelines with flexibility that customers didn't have before, and also with a commitment and a service from SAP that wasn't there before, especially with the private edition of SAP S4hana Cloud. When we take a look at what's in it, of course, it's a one-stop shop. SAP is your single point of contact for pretty much everything there is, and Rise with SAP bundles a lot of things that make a lot of sense together. So, of course, at the forefront, SAP S4hana Cloud, be it public or private. It is on the infrastructure of your choice, but it also includes business process intelligence, insights that you really need when you take it to the next level on your cloud journey. Also, all of the tools that you need for the journey to Rise with SAP are included in this bundle, and this includes SAP Cloud ALM, the custom code analyzer, readiness check, and also additional capabilities. It includes the business network starter pack to make sure that you get all the goods that you need, and also the business technology platform for extensions. Obviously, what I will focus on today is on the tool side, and here on the tool side, I will focus on SAP Cloud ALM, but I will also talk about the role that SAP Solution Manager plays. Now, let's take a closer look at what I call the different flavors of SAP S4hana. Now, when we talk about Rise with SAP, this is an as-a-service model. With this as-a-service model, our customers subscribe to the service, and customers get to choose whether they would like to go for SAP S4hana Cloud, which is a complete and modern software as a service ERP. And that is good for customers who start a future ERP with a new implementation and predefined business processes. The second part of S4 within Rise is SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition, which gives you cloud value, but retains the flexibility and the scope that you are used from SAP S4hana, but it adds the cloud flavor and the cloud flexibility and choice with it. Is designed to customers to transition to the cloud, but to also at the same time retain the investments that you have made, and also to convert your existing ERP systems and ECC installations to S4. So those are the two major things in as a service. And of course, as you know it, SAP S4hana has been around for quite a while as an on-premise product. So it's not a service, but it's a product that you as a customer can use, either deployed in-house, deployed with one of the partners that you have in infrastructure as a service, or just a service provider relationship. When we talk about those are the service models, and the commercial side is at the top. When we take a look at it from a cloud perspective, so SAP S4hana Cloud obviously is a public cloud offering. SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition is a private cloud offering, just as the name says. And if you take your license, your SAP S4 license, and you let a partner manage the infrastructure and manage the technology in infrastructure as a service. To you, this also feels like a public cloud, but of course, there's less skin in the game for SAP than with the private cloud. But of course, also, if you run SAP S4hana in your own data center, we typically call this an on-premise deployment. Just so a little bit that you understand where we come from when we talk about ALM and the different flavors that we have. So ALM, Application Lifecycle Management, this is a discipline of implementing and operating SAP solutions. But overall, it also extends way beyond SAP, but you know, I'm an SAP guy, so I like to talk about the SAP-centric customer solutions. And in implementation, they span from designing a solution over building, testing, and deploying the solution. And in operation, it's all about detecting anomalies, analyzing what's wrong, correcting it, and automating problem resolution. And to do all of this at SAP, we have 3 pillars, 3 products or solutions that we offer to customers to support ALM. And each of those solutions matches a certain customer reality. So for example, if you are a customer who is completely focused on the cloud, mostly public cloud, then SAP Cloud ALM is a good solution for you because it covers exactly what you need in the public cloud today. SAP Focused Run is an excellent solution if you need to do monitoring of a large number of systems in a hybrid environment with a big on-premise footprint. This is also our first recommendation for hyperscalers and for service providers, because in SAP Focused Run, they can bundle all of their customers in one environment. And SAP Focused Run is also used by SAP's own cloud units with thousands and thousands of systems managed by Focused Run. And of course, we also have SAP Solution Manager. This year marks the 20th anniversary of SAP Solution Manager. And of course, it has gone through a lot of evolutions and is now really the platform of choice to implement and operate solutions of customers which need the flexibility of an on-premise environment. Now, of course, now the question is, how do you find the solution, the ALM solution that is right for you? And here I will only focus on SAP Cloud ALM and SAP Solution Manager, as those target similar aspects of ALM, but for different customer situations. So when we talk about which ALM solution is the right solution, in the past years, we would always say it is SAP Solution Manager, because SAP's customer base was on-premise centric, especially with ECC and also certainly SAP S4hana. But we see more and more cloud, also in the cloud ERP space with SAP S4hana Cloud. So we see a strong trend of customers shifting from on-premise centric environments to more cloud environments. And because of this, we invented and developed SAP Cloud ALM. We see a big trend also among ASUG customers. The recent investment survey 2021 clearly showed a strong trend towards cloud. But as Paul Kracina also mentioned at the beginning of this fantastic event, thanks, Paul, by the way, for inviting us. Many of you have not yet decided if you want to go to a hyperscaler, and if yes, which hyperscaler you would like to choose. Nevertheless, there's a strong trend. So sometimes I get asked the question, well, Tim, do I now need to stop Solution Manager and move to SAP Cloud ALM? Absolutely no. We recommend that you pick the ALM platform that is right for you based on where you are as a company and what your strategy as a company is. If you want to move to the cloud, and you want to move to the cloud quickly, you're probably going to switch to SAP Cloud ALM sooner or later. But if you're happy with your on-premise environments, there is no need to change. SAP Solution Manager is there to support you. And I would like now to take a look at what we recommend to our customers when they ask us. And this is a customers for cloud customers. So those are customers that are moving to the cloud this year, moving either to SAP S4hana in the public cloud, to SAP S4hana Cloud in the private cloud, or to SAP S4hana or the business suite with a service provider. Those are the 3 things that we have. Could also be on-premise, but this is when you are sort of like your own service provider. And here, if you are a customer heavily going for SAP S4hana Cloud in the public cloud, and you want to do an implementation, you're interested in operating it, of our first recommendation or automatic response would be, you should go to SAP Cloud ALM, because Cloud ALM is clearly designed for customers who implement cloud solutions. And SAP S4hana Cloud is SAP's premier ERP public cloud offering as a service. And for operations, SAP Cloud ALM already offers lots of capabilities that are essential and needed by SAP S4hana Cloud customers. When, on the other hand, you look at the SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition, here it really depends on how you want to work it and how you want to do your project. And I will come to decision criteria in just a moment. Generally speaking, we recommend as a foundation for operations, SAP Cloud ALM. SAP Cloud ALM supports both public cloud and private cloud, and in addition also on-premise systems for SAP S4hana and the SAP Business Suite. SAP Cloud ALM supports with database monitoring only HANA, and from a platform only ABAP-based systems. But of course, anything that happens above the technology layer, business process monitoring, real user monitoring, integration, exception monitoring, and so forth, this is also available for all sorts of flavors of SAP S4hana. Now moving over for implementations of SAP S4hana or conversions to SAP S4hana in a traditional on-premise environment. So not the private edition of SAP, but either with your service provider of choice or in your data center. For both conversion and implementation, we recommend SAP Solution Manager. SAP Cloud ALM is not yet there where it can support a pure on-premise environment. And when we talk about on-premise, we have two aspects. One is deployment, and here this can probably be changed. But the second one is also mindset. Needing lots of custom code, managing lots of custom code ongoing. This is something that most likely is not at the core of SAP Cloud ALM with N+1 landscape and lots of solution documentation and parallel projects. But if you want to implement SAP S4hana, stay close to the standard, have one project at a time and use standardization and so forth. Over time, SAP Cloud ALM will also be a good choice for our SAP S4hana customers. This is also, by the way, what Mark T has already shared on the first day of this event. And during the Q&A yesterday morning your time, I also promised that I will go one level deeper. This is the time to dig deeper. Okay, so my first topic now would be, how does SAP Cloud ALM support SAP S4hana Cloud? That's the one on the left-hand side, public cloud offering. And you already see the color is blue, so we believe SAP Cloud ALM is the right choice. I will focus on implementation. I will cover briefly on operations. If you're interested in learning more about operations, it's the third session of today. That's a session about operating cloud-centric solutions with SAP Cloud ALM by Tom Murtagh. So stick around, one more session to go. And in the middle, we have Graham Henderson and William Paris talking about the great Concord ServiceNow integration. But now coming back, solution measure for the implementation and the Activate methodology. The Activate methodology describes step by step what needs to be done to run a successful project. And there's a specific Activate roadmap for SAP S4hana Cloud. It's all about discovering the solution, doing the fit to standard analysis, doing the configuration, migrating, onboarding and deploy and so forth. And SAP Cloud ALM has capabilities to support customers on their way. Of course, in the beginning, you have the onboarding to SAP Cloud ALM, and then Cloud ALM supports the process of design, build, test, deploy, and of course, also then operations with different integrated tools. Let's take a quick look at the SAP Activate roadmap. So the SAP Activate roadmap is something that you can either consume online or you can use it inside SAP Cloud ALM, and then the roadmap takes all of the activities that are described and puts it into a technical format into tasks. And those tasks are managed inside SAP Cloud ALM. They are by default assigned to the corresponding role from Activate. So anybody who is joining the project with a certain role will have the list of tasks that are required to be done during the project. And in addition, also SAP Cloud ALM has some integrated tools to even further accelerate the completion of those tasks. Let's take a look at how we integrate into other tools during implementation. So during onboarding, in the future, we will also offer onboarding through SAP for Me. Also, some cool sessions available during this event. But then especially during the build phase, we leverage the integration with the SAP Central Business Configuration. Initially, certainly for the scoping, so when we need to scope the business processes to be executed in SAP S4hana Cloud, this is when we have an integration into SAP Central Business Configuration. And we also have this then when it comes to the configuration, the integration, and the extensions, because we would then trigger the configuration changes in SAP Central Business Configuration. So SAP Cloud ALM is the orchestration environment, and Central Business Configuration by SAP is the tool that actually produces the configuration changes inside SAP S4hana Cloud. And there's lots of other capabilities that we also include during configuration. I would also like to point out integrations that we have during the test phase. So as the first integration, we plan to integrate the SAP S4hana test automation that is built into SAP S4hana Cloud. We already released the API for testing, and towards the end of the year, we also like to integrate with Tricentis test automation. And then during innovation, we also, of course, integrate with local deployment tools. On our roadmap, we have as the on-premise transport management tools and also cloud TMS and deployments for SAP S4hana Cloud. But you see there's a little asterisk, so this is roadmap. Do not make any buying decisions based on this information. Regular roadmap disclaimer. Careful with things that are not there. Take decisions only based on what is there. Okay, so just one more deep dive into the integration of SAP Cloud ALM and SAP Central Business Configuration. So as I mentioned before, we have the customer solution, which is business solution that you will use afterwards. The solution is connected to both Central Business Configuration and SAP Cloud ALM. And of course, Central Business Configuration and Cloud ALM are also connected. The role of Central Business Configuration is to configure the intelligent enterprise, starting with SAP S4hana Cloud, to do the configuration, to deploy the configuration, and is based on the business adaptation catalog. The goal and the mission of SAP Cloud ALM is to implement and operate the intelligent enterprise. It manages the requirements and the implementation tasks and does automated and automated tests and orchestrates the deployment. The deployment engines are triggered by CBC and Cloud TMS, but SAP Cloud ALM does the so-called deployment orchestration. And we do this based on the intelligent enterprise scenarios. This is where you get the process models from and also from the best practice content. And SAP Activate serves as a repository for all implementation tasks that are required. In operations, we have quite a few capabilities already available in SAP Cloud ALM, and because of the deep dive session, I will not spend too much time on this. I would just like to call out business process monitoring with predefined KPIs, integration monitoring to keep control over any document that is sent between SAP S4hana Cloud and another system, for example, SAP SuccessFactors, monitoring of jobs, and also making sure that end users are using the solution property and response times with the real user monitoring in SAP Cloud ALM. We'll get those slides afterwards, and I included lots of links here for further research. So here you can learn about cloud operations for S4hana Cloud. Here you can learn exactly what it means to implement business process monitoring and so forth. Now, as a second step, I will just skip over S4hana Cloud quickly, but I will come back to it. I will now focus on SAP S4hana in the on-prem version. Here, clearly the question is, how do you start? Do you start with a greenfield approach with a new implementation? Or do you do a brownfield approach where you do a system conversion from your existing ERP system into the SAP S4hana environment? There is also one more way, which is a business transfer, which is a transformation topic, but most of our customers, 95%, go to either one of those two options. So here, when we move to SAP S4hana, it is when implementing, it's about using best practice content, analyzing landscape data, executing tests, and manage deployments. And in conversion, in addition, you need to check the readiness and identify and work on the simplification items. And here we work hand in hand with the software logistics tools to provision the landscape, to plan the landscape, and to convert the landscape. Here we have a simplified view of an implementation of SAP S4hana with SAP Solution Manager and Focus Build. So here the idea is that we have one core line, which are the tools and the capabilities of SAP Solution Manager and Focus Build, and we have the content line where we have the SAP methodology content, mostly Activate, and the SAP process content, mainly SAP best practice processes. And in a greenfield approach with new implementation, you would use project management based on Activate methodology. You would then manage the processes, the requirements, the testing, change control, and release management in order to go live. With Focus Build, our outcome-based delivery approach, we have an acceleration, especially for projects that have many requirements that they need to deliver with software development and in an agile way, with connectivity to Jira and also integration into DevOps, and all managed off of one central readiness dashboard. And here the big benefit is not only the pre-configuration and the improvements is, for example, in the test steps, but also the clear visibility to everybody in the project so that they know what's going on and that action can be taken accordingly. Let's now take a look at the conversion. The conversion is a bit more intense, so to say, than a new implementation. What comes in addition to the things we just discussed are the readiness check. Readiness check here where the red line starts. And what's new is that we have a direct link between the readiness check and Focus Build. So we can take the results of the readiness check, the simplification items, and hand them over to Focus Build for further analysis. And in addition, we also need to manage the custom code, which is also a result of the readiness check, to make the custom code compatible to SAP S4hana. And here, I'd like to show the integration between the readiness check and Focus Build. So the readiness check explains what the findings are. It talks about simplification items and the activities related to the simplification items. This comes from data out of your ERP system. And you can take the results and download them, export them, and put them into SAP Solution Manager and Focus Build. And then you can assign work packages, work items, or even complete projects to deal with the simplification items. So lots of things that help you on your journey to S4. Also, with SAP S4hana, this should be SAP S4hana. Let me check this later on. You also get monitoring capabilities in SAP Cloud ALM. Yes, you can use SAP Cloud ALM to monitor your on-premise SAP S4hana solution. And here, the only thing that and here we also have business process monitoring, integration exception monitoring, and real user monitoring. Job monitoring is not yet included for SAP S4hana. So here, I will update the slides and send them to my friends in Newton Square, so we can also make them available to you. Just one word that is incorrect here. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Let's now look at what our recommendation is for the private edition. Remember, SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition offering the best of both worlds, offering the SAP S4hana Cloud as a service by nature, with services bundled around it with a larger package, and of course, the flexibility that you're used to from on-premise also available to you with release management at your terms and with the possibility to extend the software where required. And yeah, this looks like an interesting journey, and trust me, it is, because the decision whether to use SAP Cloud ALM here on the left-hand side or to use SAP Solution Manager on the right-hand side depends on your implementation approach. Remember at the beginning we said, from SAP perspective, the ALM solution depends on the strategy and the cloud journey of the customer. Same is true here. This depends on what you need for your implementation project. So let's start in the journey and begin with design. So if you want to focus on SAP standard processes, if you can reuse processes that are delivered as part of the SAP content in design, this is a good indicator that SAP Cloud ALM is a good choice for you. If you are more focusing on doing several projects in parallel and doing development and maintenance at the same time, then this would be a good indicator to use SAP Solution Manager. If your focus in the project is agile project management with time boxing and user stories and a strong methodology support for fit to standard based on Activate, then SAP Cloud ALM is the right choice. If you're planning to do lots of development, if you really have a development-driven project for your SAP S4hana Private Cloud journey, and you plan to create custom code and need retrofit to keep this all in sync, that's a good indicator for SAP Cloud ALM. If in testing you're interested to use manual and automated tests, including the integration into Tricentis, SAP Solution Manager is where you want to be. If you're fine with manual tests and over time the integration to SAP S4hana test tools, then over time this could be also a good choice for you on Cloud ALM side. If the entire topic of release management and integrating into CTS Plus, Central CTS, GCTS with GitHub-based transports, then SAP Solution Manager is probably a good choice. Whereas when you're mainly focusing on the deployment orchestration for cloud and ABAP, then SAP Cloud ALM is probably a good partner for you. So you need to take a look at where you want to take your project and where you want to take your SAP S4hana Cloud journey. We've had several discussions with customers, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach. I've had conversations even several years back with a customer at Sapphire. That was the last Sapphire that I went to, probably like most of you. That was in 2019, and he said, "Well, you know, Tim, I really like this approach that you're taking, and you know, for us, for the kind of projects that we do, Cloud ALM is really a good solution." We were just talking about the content. He said what they were lacking most is an easy environment to manage all of the implementation tasks that come from Activate, because Activate is generally accepted by many partners as the methodology of choice when implementing SAP S4hana. And he said, if you're able to just bring in the process models, put in all the tasks, manage the project, he didn't even mention the time boxing and the agile approach, this is a really good choice. So if this is your way of thinking, if you are interested in managing all of the implementation tasks and you're using standard approaches and you want to do it in an agile way, and it's really a lot about orchestration and you don't mind the manual test, which, by the way, in a standard implementation, you would need to do anyway initially, then most likely SAP Cloud ALM is a good choice for you. On the other hand, we also have customers, mostly larger customers, who really need to differentiate a lot and develop a lot to get to SAP S4hana. For them, typically the discussion goes like this, then they will tell us they have some compliance topics that they need to adhere to, also on the software side. They want to be fast, but they want to decouple implementation and innovation and maintenance. So they need a dual track, and they need to have different versions of solution documentation. That is essential to those customers, also to manage all of the developments, to manage the custom code and the retrofit. And especially for retrofit and all of those maintenance activities, they rely on automated testing. And of course, they want to centrally transport everything across the landscapes. For those kind of customers, of course, SAP Solution Manager is the ALM tool of choice for a journey that starts in 2021. So to sum it up for ALM for SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition, it depends on where you are, but be assured monitoring works also for SAP S4hana Cloud. For SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition, we have the same scope as we do for SAP S4hana on-premise. So it's the same as before. So business process monitoring, integration and exception monitoring, and real user monitoring are supported. Job monitoring is on the roadmap. So remember this slide. You need to figure out where you are. Are you here? You are in the private cloud, but maybe you need all of those individual ALM capabilities that SAP Solution Manager offers? No problem. SAP Solution Manager is there to support you. Are you in the private cloud, but you want to use standardized ALM? All of the tasks from Activate, process descriptions that come from the process content of SAP. You want to consolidate the landscape and do extensions mainly on the cloud platform and not too much inside SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition. Then SAP Cloud ALM is your choice. It really depends on your strategy. And as I mentioned before, there is no one size fits all. We invented SAP Cloud ALM to clearly offer an alternative for customers with the cloud mindset and the cloud deployment to have a simplified environment. So you can focus on doing the implementation tasks while keeping SAP Solution Manager and continuing to invest in SAP Solution Manager for customers who need the flexibility in SAP S4hana Cloud to change things in custom code and to run implementation and maintenance in parallel. So you as a customer need to find your tipping point. If you want to learn more about accelerating cloud implementations with SAP Cloud ALM, I recommend this Open SAP course. It starts on Tuesday, June 15th. As always, the Open SAP course is free of charge, and you have quite a lineup of product managers and engineers that will explain soup to nuts what it takes to run implementation projects with SAP Cloud ALM. This is some call it a 5-week course, some call it a 4+1 week course. It's 4 weeks content, and there's an exam at the end, and there are assignments in the middle. And of course, if you go through the assignments and pass the exam, you will get a digital badge and a record of achievement. And I think this is also good to show off a little bit that you're always keeping up your game with SAP ALM solutions. Some more information here if you want to find more about Cloud ALM. Here's our homepage. We have a roadmap with what's planned. You can order it immediately if you think it's a great thing. Once inside Cloud ALM, you can give us feedback with a built-in Qualtrics survey. The help portal explains what's new. We also have a demo center where you can experience it both in a recorded way and also in a public demo system. In-app help is there to share and to support you on when you use SAP Cloud ALM. And here you can also contact us via email in case you have a question or in case you want to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. We are there to help. With this, I would like to close and thank you for reserving the first slot today in the main agenda for implementing SAP Cloud Solutions and with SAP Cloud ALM with a focus on RISE and SAP S4hana. And now I'd like to open up for questions.
Please feel free to enter your question into the Q&A or the chat panel. Last call for questions.
You know, there's never a really last call, but it's a last call for the session. In case the session ends and all of a sudden you think, oh, there's this one thing I wanted to ask Tim. The good news is you can ask me every month live in our community call, and maybe Evan John, you can put the community call into the chat if you haven't done so. This is an opportunity that we open up for customers globally. We focus on all sorts of ALM topics. We cover SAP Cloud ALM, SAP Solution Manager, and SAP Focus Run. We always have 15 minutes Q&A live. So in case there is no question now, but somebody asks you something about Cloud ALM and you're unsure and you can't find an answer and you don't remember that we have an email. Email is cloudalm@sap.com. There's also time to ask a question there, but
Tim,
yep.
real quick. Oh, it looks like Evan mentioned there was a question earlier. If active content was available for CALM.
What kind of content?
If active content. Activate content, I apologize.
Activate. Well, activate to implement SAP Cloud ALM, there is no activate content needed because it is pre-configured and there's just small guided steps at the beginning that you need to do. But SAP Activate is included in SAP Cloud ALM. So if you run a project for SAP S4hana Cloud, SAP S4hana Cloud Private Edition, and so forth, those Activate roadmaps are included inside SAP Cloud ALM.
Alternatively, if you'd like to raise your hand, I can also unmute your mic and you can ask your question live.
Hi everyone, this is Ramya here. I had a quick question. Is ALM the offering that you said is complementary sort of the cloud? Right? Is that part of the SAP RISE offering as well? Is that like that, or would that be like a line item?
I'm sorry, I have a bad line right now. I'm having problems with the audio right now.
I'm just curious to know if ALM is part of the SAP RISE offering.
Well, Ramya, you're cutting in and out a little bit. If you don't mind entering your question into the Q&A, we will be sure to grab it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. It looks like we have another one in there. Business Suite, as we know, will end on 2027, Solution Manager included. What is the long-term plan for on-premise customers?
Well, 2027 is a long ways. For Business Suite customers who choose the optional extended maintenance, they get SAP Solution Manager as part of this optional extended maintenance. And the question, of course, is going forward, how strong is the trend to cloud? How strong is the need to go to cloud? Because SAP Cloud ALM does not stop where it is today. I already mentioned that we have some things that are planned and potentially for some customers going or staying in on-premise SAP Cloud ALM could also be a good option in the future. But we don't know yet. The whole industry is changing dramatically and really quickly. And so for right now, I think we have until 2027 for all customers. For customers with the business suite, we have until 2030, because I would assume they also opt for extended maintenance. And if there is still the need for an on-prem ALM tool, I'm pretty sure we have one. One commitment that marked here doesn't get tired to tell us, we will always have the ALM that customers need based on their requirements. And yes, SAP Cloud ALM and all of the other ones are part of the RISE offering. There is no additional cost for SAP Cloud ALM.
Perfect. And then it looks like John is typing the answer, but we did get Ramya's questioning, is ALM part of the SAP RISE offering?
Yes, it is. There is no additional cost for ALM.
Perfect.
Cloud ALM.
Wonderful. Do we have any other questions? A reminder, please feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute your mic to ask a question live if you would like. All right. Tim, any closing comments?
Well, I would just like to say thank you very much for joining the session. I do recommend, of course, to stay in this track with other topics on ALM, so connection to ServiceNow and operations are on the horizon. But if something else catches your attention, go wherever it takes you. Just be sure, follow us there. We have so many important news coming up on ALM topics overall, not only with Cloud ALM, but also with innovation in Focus Run and SAP Solution Manager. Thank you very much.